Hey, this is Foxy HipHop, and I'm back with another tier list. Today we're going to go through Drake. I'm from Toronto, so this one is close to heart for better or worse. A lot of opinions about the Drake discography. If you're from the greater Toronto area, it's probably not uncommon that you hear goat talk with Drake a lot. You'll see my thoughts as we go through this in the broader hip hop discussion where Drake stacks up amongst all the greats. So just a few things as we're going through this. Number one, this particular tier list has some of the really old mixtapes on it. I personally started listening to Drake from So Far Gone and up to his current release, honestly, Nevermind. So these three previous mixtapes prior to that, I'm just going to throw them in a question mark category. Feel free to check them out and let me know your thoughts there. Otherwise, let's get into it. In terms of the rating scale, the way I like to think about it is an S tier record is a classic, means, 90-95% has to be all straight fire, not too many throwaway tracks if you want to be a classic album, followed by like A's, which might have a one, two, maybe three kind of throwaways on it. B's and C's are generally kind of good albums, but they might have some trash records on them, some gems. Sometimes you might encounter a record that the highs are really high and the lows are really poor, and it'll kind of average out there. And then obviously your D and your F's, just terrible records overall. We'll see how Drake does on some of these records because they're kind of all over the place. But yeah, that's the rating system, and let's start. Alright, so starting off with the mixtape that kind of put Drake on the map, So Far Gone. What's interesting about this Spotify version is the amount of tracks on it. I remember when I first heard this one drop, I could have sworn it was only like 7 to 8 tracks. Maybe I had a bad mixtape back in the day. A lot of these tracks, though, I did hear in circulation in and around the time, so it's plausible I didn't have the real version back when I heard it. But let's go off what's here. Previous to my other tier lists, we're going to do kind of top 3, bottom 3 records on each one of these projects, and I'll throw them all in a playlist for the top 3 if you want that consolidated. So So Far Gone, what do I like on this? Ignorant Shit with Lil Wayne, pretty dope. Actually, borrows the Jay-Z instrumental. Wayne and Drake have great verses on this one. Say What's Real. This one's on a Kanye beat from 808s, and this one was pretty sick back in the day. My other favorite on it's The Calm. And really, this track is very similar to a what I would like to call like notebook Drake, and you kind of see it through his discography where you can kind of picture him sitting there trying to be all introspective with his bars. This project hasn't aged as well as I remember it. Back in the day, I would have definitely put this one as a classic. Going back though and listening to it when it was re-released on Spotify and in preparation for this tier list, to me it's just okay. Tracks that I can really live without, Lust for Life, Houston, Atlanta, Vegas, it's okay. Tracks like Successful, they were really like hot singles back in the day. I don't know, just seemed pretty boring. Best I Ever Had, you've heard these songs already, so they're a little played out and a bit derivative, but overall for a mixtape for a new artist, it was still a strong showing. Give it a listen if you want to kind of see where Drake came from, but not his strongest. in terms of ranking with this one, I would put this one soundly. I'm gonna call it a B, just based maybe with a little bit of nostalgia still kicking around there. Moving on, now we have Thank Me Later. This was Drake's first studio album. I remember when this dropped because I was actually on a trip to Mexico and I listened to this in the airport for the first time. And I was a little let down. And listening back, this is not the best debut album. Definitely has some highs, which I think is going to be a pattern you're going to see here. The singles for Drake are always super radio friendly and did great airplay. What do I like on this record? Up All Night, definitely my favorite track on this one. Nicki kills it. Drake verse is awesome. One that's a little less known, I would say, is The Resistance. I actually really like this one. It's a little bit slower of a track, but I think on a lyrical level, Drake really outshines a lot of these other songs on this one. So check it out. Otherwise, round out kind of my top three on it. Miss Me with Lil Wayne, which if you've listened to a decent amount of Drake, I'm sure you've heard. Still solid. Tracks that I can do without on this one. You know, the opener, Fireworks, pretty blah, even with the Alicia Keys feature on it. You know, I guess it's okay as an opener. Karaoke, it's pretty garbage. Thank Me Now, just not even listenable in my opinion. And, you know, Shut It Down, it's just so played out and corny. These ones really kind of bring this record down. I don't spin this one too often, and I really hadn't listened to it probably in a few years leading up to this tier list. You could definitely miss this one. You'll thank me later. But yeah, in terms of rating, what are we gonna do with Thank Me Later? I'm gonna put this guy soundly in the D category. Not good. Definitely pass on that. Coming off the back of Thank Me Later, Drake dropped Take Care, and holy shit, this is a great record. This is a really great record, especially in contrast to his first offering. There's a lot to like on this one. Straight from the intro, Over My Dead Body, great. Shot for Me is even pretty good. Headlines is great. Crew Love with The Weeknd, like this record's pretty sick. Even some of the poppier tracks like the Take Care, Marvin's Room, I really like. In terms of my like top three on the record, I would say check out Underground Kings. I don't see too many people talk about this track. This is actually my favorite on the album. Crew Love, second pick. Hell Yeah, Fucking Right, my third. In terms of like bottom three tracks on this one, it's hard to find a bad track on this album. I guess ones that I typically skip the most will be fine. Can really do without. Lord Knows, Look What You've Done. But overall, this is a great record, and really one of the biggest achievements probably in Drake's career, and he would definitely struggle to follow up on this record. I remember when this one dropped, like, you heard the shit everywhere in Toronto, everywhere, and you still hear a lot of these songs still being jammed repetitively. This record probably needs two different ratings. If you were rating this in Toronto with the amount of like Drake stans, this would be like an S tier, and it's right on the line. It's right on the line. I'd probably call it an A though. If I got to put it in the same conversation with like a Jay-Z discography or Tupac, Biggie. If you want to be in the talk with the Mount Rushmore of hip hop, it's still an A. But definitely check this one out if you haven't listened to it for some reason. But yeah, that's Take Care. All right, Nothing Was the Same. I remember when this record came out, and it was straight fire once again. Thinking about it, I guess retrospectively and re-listening to it, this is still a really good record. Is it quite as good as Take Care? Maybe not, but it's pretty close actually. The problem with it is the start is really solid, but I feel like it falls off on the back a little bit. So tracks that like really bring it down. The problems kind of start with like From Time, Hold On, We're Going Home. I know a lot of people like this one. Connect, 305 to My City, Come Through. Some of these songs just are a little too boring and kind of derivative. And it's sad to say, it's only his third record, but some of the motifs really kind of set in at this point with some of these tracks where you feel like Drake's just kind of milking it, which is unfortunate because the start of this album is actually really strong. I actually really like the Tuscan Leather intro, probably one of the better intros he has on any of his albums. You have obviously big radio tracks like Started From the Bottom. My favorites on this one, Worst Behavior, solid. I actually like the Wu-Tang Forever track, is really good. Pound Cake with Jay-Z. Unlike some future efforts with Jay-Z, this one actually worked quite well. And both Jay-Z and Drake put great verses in here. Production on this album is really solid. Just overall, this is a great project. It's also a little bit shorter than Take Care, which I appreciate too, as we're going to notice a trend where Drake loves to put out sometimes really bloated records where the editing could be a lot better and a couple of these tracks could have been dropped off. This is the deluxe version, obviously, but still probably just a little too long. But overall, Nothing Was the Same. Another solid Drake record. Where do I put this guy? I'm actually gonna say this is an A as well. Not on the cusp of being an S record, but it's definitely firmly in the A category. Another solid record for Drake. All right, next up, if you're reading this, it's too late. And holy shit, this record came out of nowhere. And I know Drake calls this a mixtape, and I think the way Drake uses the word mixtape and full album is pretty questionable at best. When I think of a mixtape, I think of like a string of tracks that maybe don't have any cohesion, just kind of thrown on. And it's really just an excuse for, just delivering tracks to the fans without any kind of overall theme to the album. That's not what this record is. And this, quote, mixtape, I would argue is Drake's best record he ever put out. And this one's amazing. Right from the start, I love Legend, great intro. Energy is pretty sick. Six God is awesome. Even on the outro, 6 p.m. in New York, like the beats on this thing are so dark. Drake just sounds so pissed off on this one, and there's always the question of whether Drake wrote the bars or not. But whoever wrote these ones, please give us a part 2 of this record, because he killed it. Like there's so many good tracks on this one. Know Yourself, No Telling's awesome. Don't really like Madonna. Can live without this one. Six God's good though. Star 667's great. Preach is alright. Not really one of my favorites. it's actually hard for me to pick tracks that I really kind of dislike on this one. Now and Forever, I'm pretty lukewarm on, but there's nothing that offensive on this album, and this really is his best project. And if you had to take one Drake record to kind of represent like the pinnacle of where Drake could be when his game is on, this one is it. In terms of rating, I'm gonna give this one an S. I think this one's actually classic. This is a great record, and it's kind of weird to call these albums less good than his classic mixtape, but this thing shits all over the rest of his discography in a lot of ways, and I don't know if his writing ever hit this pinnacle ever again. The beat selection was just so on. Everything about it, besides the album cover, which is just complete trash. I guess that's the only thing bad about this, but I'm not going to take points away for shitty album art. But yeah, you got to listen to this one if you haven't. And here we go with another mixtape. What a Time to Be Alive. This was the joint project with Future and Drake. And once again, holy shit, this is like the 4th release in a row. This is a great album. I really like this one. I actually appreciate that it's only 40 minutes long. Kind of gives me, not to compare it to Illmatic, but that kind of Illmatic, small, concise vibe. In and out, songs all kind of blend together in a way that makes sense. And yeah, Future and Drake have great chemistry together on this project. My standout tracks on it, Live from the Gutter is definitely my favorite. Jumpman's great. Obviously that one got a lot of radio play. I like Plastic Bag. But overall, 30 for 30 freestyle is great. Ones I could do without, Jersey, Scholarships is kind of meh. Change Locations, it's kind of lukewarm. Overall, though, this is a good project. It's definitely a step down, though, I will say, from the previous mixtape. In terms of where I kind of feel this one stands, is right in and around kind of the B category. I'll put this one over So Far Gone. Still a really good listen. I wouldn't say it's as essential, but yeah, great collaborative project, great production throughout, and it's short, which is something Drake really needs to involve in his editing process. Like, can we get these records below an hour? So 40 minutes, pretty sweet. I hope they do another one at some point, because yeah, definitely one of the better projects from Drake. And now we're on the views. And up to this point in the tier list, I probably sound like one of the biggest Drake stans you've heard. And it's going to end right here. This project was so hyped up, and I personally was really hyped up to hear this one. The promo run for views, I felt like it lasted for over like 2 years. But holy shit. Okay, number one, it's 20 songs. Once again, back up to almost an hour and a half. And this thing's a grind to get through, guys. It was hard back then. It was hard to re-listen to this album and not skip tracks. This is a fucking boring record. I don't care what you say. A lot of people from Toronto will die on a hill for views and say this record is so great. No, I'm not about it. So let's start on the positive. What is good on this record? Check out Grammys. Pretty solid. Pop Style is good. I will say I prefer the version that didn't get released on the album with Jay-Z and Kanye. I feel it's a little better rounded, but that should give you some sense to how bad some of these tracks are. Even this version with just Drake on it is still one of the highlights on here. Other tracks that I like, Hype's pretty good. You With Me, Still Here are kind of the standouts, but even the You With Me and Still Here picks, you're kind of treading the line to just kind of barely listenable. Let's talk about some of the garbage on this one, like Fire and Desire. So fucking boring. Weston Road Flows. It's kind of ironic because Weston Road is a very hilly street that runs for a couple 100 kilometers off the top of my head. Really starts north of Toronto and goes through. And this track has no highs. This is just straight downhill. It's boring. It's a flat beat. Drake just tries to turn into R&B Drake, uninspired lyrics, and that's kind of a theme through this thing. Keep the family close, boring opener, Feel No Ways. A lot of these tracks, they're even hard to pick out from each other because they're just so dry. With You, it's just garbage. Faithful, this one starts okay and then just falls off a cliff on the back half. Obviously, Views get so much praise due to the singles that were huge. One Dance. I can do without fucking One Dance. And Hotline Bling. This track got played out so much. And it's not great. It's not great. The memes are better than the track on this one. Even the title track, Views. If you're going to name your fucking album after a particular track, please make sure the track is great. Even the Rihanna cut, Too Good, feels like just like a poor leftover from Take Care. Child's Play. Like this one's turning into almost borderline R. Kelly style. Views is just straight trash. There's a few jams on it, but overall, this is the start of some bad things, in my opinion, with Drake's career and where I put Views. Where are we going to put this guy? I'm actually going to put Views, not quite F, but it's definitely going to go on the bottom of the pile. It's going to go below Thank Me Later. This is not one I recommend. It is a slog to get through. Even if you edited this thing out, maybe it moves up to like a D+, but this is barely passable and really sad considering like the run Drake was on heading into this record and the amount of hype behind it. But yeah, that's Views. Following up on Views, we got More Life. And I remember when this one kind of came out of left field, I was really optimistic that Drake was just going to pull it back together and give us another great album. And when I first threw the first track, Free Smoke, and listened to it, I actually thought that was going to be the case. And then the rest of this record started, and yeah, this is a slog of a record. We got 22 tracks. I know that they like to call this a playlist. I feel like there's all these diversionary tactics we use around Drake records in Toronto to try to prop them up to different levels. Oh yeah, this is just a smattering of Drake tracks. You just pick the ones you like to your playlist. You don't have to like them all. We're trying to appeal to as many groups as possible. And yeah, I don't buy it. This is another boring fucking record. Borderline offensive because Drake really tried to jump on a Jamaican kind of style on a lot of these tracks, and this is something Drake's been accused of throughout different points in his career, but it's no more evident than on this record. You can see it on like No Long Talk and a lot of these other ones, Mandiba Rhythm, Blem, like, Drake really phoned it in, tried to see how many different styles he could copy, how many guest spots you could throw on this record. Even tracks like Glow with Kanye. This should have been a fucking great collaboration, and this is just a boring track. It was really even hard to pick like 3 records off this thing that I could even recommend. Besides Free Smoke and No Long Talk, maybe Portland with Travis Scott and Quavo is worth checking out. But yeah, this is a hard one to get through, and if you want to avoid Drake record, avoid this one, avoid Views. This is not good stuff, and I'm actually going to say that this one goes into the F pile. This is garbage. I hate this record. It was painful to listen to it then. It was painful to re-listen to it now. It's not aging any better. People are going to probably only remember the single like Passion Fruit, but even Passion Fruit is a shit single compared to all the other singles Drake's dropped. I don't hear people playing even that one anymore. So take a pass on More Life. I'm going to put it in the F category. Garbage. All right. And if it couldn't get any better, now we're on the Scorpion. Drake projects, they were never on the short side, but believe it or not, we got even longer. 25 tracks. This one got marketed as a double disc. I remember this one actually dropped on my birthday, and I don't know why. Must be the Drake fan in me. I listened to this the first minute it dropped on Spotify, and holy shit, this is disappointing. 25 songs, hour and a half. Where do we even start with this thing? It's hard to pick even the points to hone in. So let's go through some of these songs. Talk Up featuring Jay-Z. What happened on this track? The Drake verse is garbage. Jay really phoned it in on this one too. The production doesn't make any sense. Like, what happened to the production on this album? Like, it's all over the place. The song Is There More? It sounds like the actual mix is just super distorted, and the lyrics are even worse. You get these like cliche lines like the Mickey Mouse in You're Being a Goof. Like, come on. This is actually almost like a line bite. If you heard Big Sean's Dark Sky Paradise, there's a track on there with Kanye where Kanye makes like a Mickey Mouse line, and this one feels like it's really in the same spirit, but it's just way worse. And the fact that this got kind of pushed as like the disc 1's the hip hop disc, and the disc 2 is the R&B disc or soul disc. It just doesn't work. It doesn't make it any better of a listen to be like, okay, maybe I'm just gonna check out the hip hop side, because even this quote unquote hip hop side is pretty trash. Summer Games. This one, when you listen to it, it actually sounds like the drums were kind of taken from like an old mix from Take Care, but the overall production's just not finished, and there's more distortion on this one too, with like on the lyrics. Nice for What? This was one of the singles they pushed for the project, and damn did they push it, because they knew the rest of this thing was just garbage. Ratchet Happy Birthday, awful. Finesse. This is a hard project to listen through end to end, or even one disc at a time. If I was going to pick any tracks off this one, the opener Survival, I say this almost reluctantly, I guess check it out. There's so many corny bars on this one. The Mount Rushmore is just himself with like 4 different faces line. Like, how do you say that on a record like this? I don't know. Mob Ties is pretty good, and 8 out of 10 is okay. These are the only 3 records I would even say to even give a listen if you're going to throw this one on. I remember they tried to lead this record with the I'm Upset track. Like Drake was going to give us like a more moody, angry record, and it just didn't follow through. But once again, with these Drake records, God's Plan was obviously the big single, as along with Nice for What that they pushed. And it just can't cover how much other dismal records are on this one. Even the way this guy ends with the March 14th track, which is your kind of notebook Drake, it just feels so weak to past records where he tries to copy this formula. What a shitty outro. Final Fantasy is just also garbage. The Michael Jackson feature seemed like just to have the name on the record. This is not good. I'm not the biggest MJ fan in the world, but it's almost disrespectful that this got included on here, and they even like signed off on it. This is like a straight money grab. 25 songs. Please skip this one. We're actually gonna put this one just below More Life. It's also going to go in the F category. Garbage. Now we're going to jump into Care Package. This is the first record that we're covering here where I would actually call this one a mixtape, in the sense that these are tracks that were kind of floating around. Either they were singles or unreleased cuts that got put together. And this is the first honest mixtape, I'll say here, that wasn't just like an album being kind of packaged like that. And with that said, this is all over the place, but I'm not going to come down as hard on it. Some tracks, though, if you want to pick some off it, 5 a.m. in Toronto, pretty underrated. Probably one of the best Drake tracks I think he put out. If I was going to do like a top 10 Drake tracks, this one would be in it. I love the production on it. The Drake verses are great. Even the music video is pretty jokes. It's in a volleyball court in Toronto. Check this one out. The motion's decent. What else is good on here? Like the Jodeci freestyle with J. Cole is alright. This one had some controversy back in the day. Overall, I would reserve this mix of tracks for like hardcore Drake fans only. I wouldn't regularly spin this one, but compared to some of the other dismal efforts we're looking at, this is actually a step in the right direction, which is ironic because this is older tracks, but it's better than Scorpion and More Life, and I'm gonna actually just give this guy a C. It's okay, about half of it's garbage, half of it's okay, and the high points are pretty good to check out. So that's all I'm gonna say on this one. Alright, now we get into Dark Lane demo tapes. This is actually another mixtape that's actually is a mixtape, just like the Care Package. And this one also is kind of all over the place. Standout tracks to me, Chicago Freestyle, and D4L. Losses is okay. But besides that, a lot of hit or miss stuff. It's definitely a cut above More Life in views. Not really the highs, though, on the Drake discography. Would probably reserve this to diehard fans only. But you can listen to this and you could probably get through this record without being too offended. But, I feel like this is just another kind of cash grab pushed out there by Drake to kind of keep some buzz. This was pushed out as almost like a primer for the next album we'll cover with Certified Lover Boy. And it didn't really get anybody too hyped about it. I know Tootsie Slide was a single they were trying to push, especially with the start of COVID going on. And yeah, it's another played out Drake single. Has he done worse? Definitely. But this is not good. It's not a great record. But it's not an F. It's not a D. I would say it's definitely a C record. It's hard to say which one's better between the Care package and this one. Both are kind of lukewarm C's to me, maybe even D's depending on the day. Yeah, didn't really hype me up for Certified Lover Boy, and we can get into that record next. All right, Certified Lover Boy. This one got a lot of hype. It was delayed a long time, and then it finally dropped. And where does this one stand? I know there was so much controversy on how good or bad this record. A lot of people in Toronto want to call this thing a classic. A lot of hip-hop heads want to say this is one of the worst Drake projects ever. How do I feel about it? You know, it's okay actually. I think this one's all right. It's a step in the right direction for Drake. Some of my favorites on it. I actually really like the Love All with Jay-Z. Finally, their chemistry kind of came back to the pound cake level. The production on this one's pretty dope. I like Fair Trade with Travis Scott. Production, their synergy, even the lyrics are pretty good. Other favorites on it, like No Friends in the Industry. Like Drake actually comes with some fire on this album, and it feels like a long time since Drake had any energy. And he actually delivered on quite a few of these tracks. 7 a.m. on Bridal Path, also in the same direction. This one kind of reminds me of some kind of Take Care vibes where he's just like really trying to like prove that he's like a dope lyricist. Pretty close to kind of classic Notebook Drake on this one. I like it. I wish some of the past records were closer to this in quality. We'd probably have less kind of highs and lows in this discography. Other good cuts on this one. You Only Live Twice. Great features, great beat. Love the opening to it. The Kid Cudi track is not too bad. But there are some lows too. Poppy's Home. In the Bible I Can Live Without. The Way Too Sexy is super played out. I know this one's still getting a lot of airplay. Yeba's Heartbreak. Like, you know, still some really boring tracks. Pipe Down. This is our hour and 26-minute record. If you could cut this down to 15 tracks even, I think it would help the overall playthrough. The opener, Champagne Poetry, I actually really like the beat. It's dope. Freddie Gibbs actually hopped on this one. I think I heard Lupe Fiasco on this one too. It's a shame Drake didn't like hit us with the best bars on it, but as like an opener, especially compared to some of the past efforts, step in the right direction. Overall, though, what do I think about Certified Lover Boy? I'm gonna give this guy a B. A B. I'm gonna put it right in the middle of the future record So Far Gone, and yeah, this gave me some hope that Drake maybe still has another good record in him before he calls it. Can't guarantee it though, based on kind of what you're seeing on this tier list. This is all over the place. So let's just move on to the final record. And to round out this tier list journey, we have Honestly Nevermind. This one dropped, kind of surprise. Not a lot of promo, almost none that I can recall on it. It just kind of dropped, and it's hard to even call this one a hip-hop record. How do I feel about it though? I've listened to it quite a few times through. Obviously, top picks on this one. Jimmy Cooks is a dope track. It's really good. The 21 Savage chemistry is amazing. Both have awesome verses. The beat's sick. Like, give me more of this. Give me 10 tracks like this. This could be an A record. Besides this one, the only one that stands out to me that I could see myself listening on a playlist would be Sticky. That's a little bit of a reach. Besides that, what else do I feel about this record? you know, it's Drake's attempt at like a pop record, and this one honestly feels like fucking elevator music to me. It's not offensive. I could see this being played in the background and people not being like, "Hey, turn that shit off." But I don't think anybody's gonna be talking about this record 2 years from now, being like, "Yo, man, let's listen to some of those honestly Nevermind cuts. Yeah, this is dope. Text go green, man. This is the one." This thing's just so sleepy at different points. Uh, I think I actually nodded off listening to some of this, especially on like the back half. Uh, it's just incredibly bland, but it's not as offensive as More Life, so I guess that's in the right direction. So how do we rate a record like this? And it's hard for me to say 100%. I'm gonna put it on the bottom of C, and yeah, that's where we're gonna put this one. And that kind of brings us full circle on this Drake tier list. And as you can see, holy shit, his records cross the boundary of great to complete garbage and everything in between. You might have a hard time calling Drake one of the greats ever. Obviously, if we're just gonna measure it on like pop success or records sold, yeah, I guess he's got almost everyone beat, or everyone, I guess, if you use that barometer. The ghostwriting, the ghostwriting claims, I should say, or allegations, and the amount of people who work on each track are probably always going to be question marks on it. For me, especially being from Toronto, I would say Drake's good, if not, borderline great, but his discography is just so inconsistent. It's been such a long time since like a truly great record, and the lows are just so low. It's painful. And with the amount of hype some of these bad projects got, it shows what like a huge marketing budget can push on. But yeah, these are my thoughts on Drake. How do you feel about his discography? Have you actually listened to all of these records and gone through them? Do you like Views or More Life? Do I have it backwards somewhere? Let me know. And yeah, thanks for listening.